Hello everyone. Thank you for watching my videos. I have done partial research on this small booklet that was written by a man that his parents was around at the time, Charles T. Russell. The thing about Charles T. Russell, he was a unique man. He kept his teachings till he died. But something happened. Jehovah's Witnesses, if you notice right here, this emblem with the cross and crown and the wreath, that was Charles T. Russell's trademark. Trademark that he put in some of his books, his magazines. The reason why, because he believed Christ died on the cross. And he took that to his grave. He never changed the doctrine from the cross to the crown. That was done by a lawyer. Yes, a lawyer that used to work for Charles T. Russell, and he became the second president. Did the Bible students vote him to be the president? Why would the Bible students change the doctrine of Charles T. Russell to what it is today? They wouldn't, and they'd still have it. Because I have done so much research on the Bible students. They take blood, they believe in the cross, and they believe the Jews are God's chosen people. Charles T. Russell had this in so much information in his literature that the Watchtower not letting you to find out the real truth, that Charles T. Russell never believed God turns back on the Jewish people. Judge Rutherford used to believe everything that Charles T. Russell was teaching, till after his death, Judge Rutherford changed the doctrines around. So Jehovah's Witnesses, I'm going to put this link to this book, small book, on the bottom. And I hope you will see the truth for you. It has a lot of interesting things in there. It's talking about how Judge Rutherford forced himself to be the president, how he approved of Hitler, how he supported Hitler, and many other things. I'm going to share a small thing, and I hope you will hear it.
The cover contains two symbols that characterize Pastor Russell's Bible students. 1. Early in his movement that began in 1872, Pastor Russell promoted a lapel pin that his Bible students wear to this day. The cross and crown surrounded by a wreath symbolized that Christians, by daily cross-bearing, suffering with Jesus, will gain the crown of life. Then they will share with Jesus in his kingdom, offering eternal life, symbolized by the evergreen wreath, to mankind. Of course, Jehovah's Witnesses don't believe Jesus died on a cross but rather on an upright stake. Many Jehovah's Witnesses consider wearing this cross and crown emblem as idol worship, which certainly disqualifies them as Pastor Russell's Bible students too. Wheat became the hallmark of Bible students' activity. Wheat symbolizes Matthew 13, gathering the Lord's people, wheat, through a worldwide proclamation of biblical truth.
So you hear Jehovah's Witnesses rejected Charles T. Russell's teaching, believing in the cross. Jehovah's Witnesses, there's a couple other more things I'm going to bring out, and I hope you will read this book for yourself. Okay, what you're going to hear here, it's going to blow you away. But it's the truth. If you use your mind and your heart, you can hear the truth for yourself.
The picture is clear. The historical data reveals beyond a doubt that Pastor Russell's Bible students and Judge Rutherford's Jehovah's Witnesses are two separate movements. Yet there is one point that tends to be confusing and contradictory. Why do Jehovah's Witnesses sometimes refer to Pastor Russell as their founder? Certainly it is not because they agree with his basic teachings. In fact, they so vigorously disagree with his basic teachings that they have time and again categorized Pastor Russell's Bible students as the evil servant class who will be annihilated eternally. Bible students, on the other hand, have nothing but joyful expectation for the witnesses' eternity. What is the sin of Pastor Russell's Bible students that makes them so evil? What is the abominable sin that they have committed that merits eternal destruction? The answer is simply that Bible students still hold on to the biblical teachings of Pastor Russell. That means that they reject Jehovah's Witnesses' doctrines. To Jehovah's Witnesses, the basic teachings of Bible students are gross error, worthy of eternal judgment. The absurd contradiction emerges when Jehovah's Witnesses claim Pastor Russell as their founder. Where did the Bible students get their so-called gross errors but from Pastor Russell? If Pastor Russell taught this gross error, why do Jehovah's Witnesses claim Pastor Russell as their founder? Historic depth. For one reason and one simple reason alone do the Jehovah's Witnesses claim Pastor Russell as their founder. Historic depth. As a Christian church, the Jehovah's Witnesses are neophytes. Since the Jehovah's Witnesses only began in 1931, they needed historic credibility. Imagine in the 1930s, 40s or 50s, saying, "Our Christian group only began in 1931. Claiming Pastor Russell as their founder projects them back into the 1800s as a Christian group. After all, a number of Christian churches, like the Disciples of Christ, had their beginnings in the 1800s. As evidence of their sensitivity to historic depth, Jehovah's Witnesses tried to do a one-upmanship on all Christian churches by claiming that Abel, Adam's son, was the first Jehovah's Witness. This is really reaching for historic depth. The historic facts are clear. Pastor Russell founded the Bible students in the 1870s. Judge Rutherford founded the Jehovah's Witnesses in 1931. Pastor Russell's Bible students and Judge Rutherford's Jehovah's Witnesses are two separate and distinct movements. Just to illustrate this point, the Lutherans and Roman Catholics have a common lineage simply because the Lutherans broke away from the papacy. But they are two separate churches. The Lutherans believe Martin Luther's teachings and the Catholics believe the teachings of the popes. Just because the Lutherans' lineage goes back to the popes does not mean the popes are the founders of the Lutherans. The popes are the founders of the Roman Catholics who believe their doctrines. Just as Baptists and Presbyterians believe in eternal torment, so Bible students and Jehovah's Witnesses believe in eternal annihilation. But this similarity does not make them the same group. It is.
So people, this showing if the Bible students rejected Jehovah's Witnesses teaching, new teaching, and Jehovah's Witnesses rejected the Bible students' teaching, like they said, why are they holding out on Pastor Russell's teaching as their founder when they rejected the teaching of Charles T. Russell, and that's the only crime the Bible students today is still believing in the teaching of Charles T. Russell. So you can't count Charles T. Russell as a founder of Jehovah's Witnesses when the Jehovah's Witnesses rejects the teaching of the cross, the blood, saluting the flag. All these things was done while Charles T. Russell was alive. Jehovah's Witnesses, that's why it's a major for you to do your research. Because if you claim Charles T. Russell is false teaching, and you came out of false teaching, and Judge Rutherford made new teaching when he broke away from the Bible students, doesn't that mean your Pastor Russell is only Pastor Russell to the Bible students, not to Jehovah's Witnesses? And why Watchtower is holding records saying Charles T. Russell made Jehovah's Witnesses? No, he did not, because they rejected his teachings. You rejected Charles T. Russell's teaching. So that means it makes you apostate. You was formed from Charles T. Russell's teaching, and you broke away to form new teaching. That is apostate. Me, I broke away from your teaching and learning the Bible students' teaching, which I don't agree with their teaching. But did I form a new religion? No, I did not. So who's fooling who, Jehovah's Witnesses? The one who left the organization believing neither doctrine, or you broke away from one false doctrine to form a new false doctrine is worse than the first one. So that means if you was blind in one eye in Charles T. Russell's teaching, now you're blind in both eyes because you're holding on one eye of Charles T. Russell's false teaching and the other eye on Judge Rutherford's teaching. So that's the reason why you are blind in the truth, or what you call the truth, never will be the truth, because you're blind. And you call us people who woke up and realized Judge Rutherford was a money-hungry person, and he wanted to reject everything of Charles T. Russell because no one respected Judge Rutherford. So the only way he could have respect is to form a new religion, to brainwash the Bible students in believing Judge Rutherford was a crazy lunatic, believing that Christ died on the cross. Crazy lunatic, believing that blood that saves people's lives is a blaspheme, and Jehovah's Witnesses not taking blood, they're killing their own people. So I'm going to put the link of this down here. Please read this for yourself. You'll find interesting things that it's the truth. And there's other sources out there. It's the same thing. Charles T. Russell would never formed or disown his teaching to form a new teaching like the Jehovah's Witnesses. He would never done that. Only an evil man, Judge Rutherford, did. Thank you, and have a nice day.